Can the Dodgers now afford not to start Bobby Miller? What is a reasonable expectation for Cam Akers and the Rams running game? And, maybe love just isn't in the cards for Taylor Swift and Austin Reaves. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is June 11th, 2023. It's the Lord's Day, Sunday. Take a moment, thank God for the blessings in your life. It is also Galaxy Game Day, and I'm very thankful for that as well. Can you tell that once the Galaxy fired Chris Klein, I had a promise I was going to buy a lot of pointless garbage from the Galaxy that I totally didn't need, and man, did I run with it. Anyway, want to thank the new subscriber who joined the channel yesterday. Like him, grateful for all of you. And if you enjoy being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yeah, you should comment. I try to reach back to every one of you. Before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Bobby Miller. We're going to talk a little more about him in a few moments. He improves to 3-0. Once again, lights out. 6 shutout innings, 7 strikeouts. Dodgers 9, Philadelphia nothing. JD Martinez also hit his 16th home run of the year. And also, in MLS, LAFC might have suffered the worst loss in their franchise history. Even more so than any embarrassment to Zlatan or the LA Galaxy. 4-0 to the Houston Dynamo. LAFC had 3 matches this week. They only managed a goal in one of them. They lost all of them. They are on a 5-match winless streak. Now, it doesn't harm them completely at MLS because 3 of the matches were in cup play. US Open Cup and, of course, CONCACAF Champions League. So they're not falling out of the race in the Western Conference. But man, they are not looking good right now, straight up. And I have a vibe as to why, but I'm going to hold off until I can get some validation on it. Meanwhile, today, by the way, the Dodgers are in Philadelphia again at 10:30. Nick Robertson is 0-0 with no ERA. He's only pitched 2 innings this year. He faces Tejan Walker, 5-3 with a 5.04 ERA. The Galaxy are at St. Louis. Game 1 for the Galaxy in what appears to be the post-Chicharito era. Now, it sounds kind of hopeless, and maybe I'm drinking the hopium. But the Galaxy offense is actually surprisingly balanced. Did you know 11 different players have scored for the blue, white, and gold? Is it possible that the offense might gain more flow without the captain on the pitch? Also, the Sparks are at Minnesota at 6 o'clock. Now, how special is Bobby Miller? Right? The young man has just been crazy. And they're starting to look at him in terms of historical value. Not just the here and now, where he ranks in history. He is only the 9th pitcher since 1901 to allow 2 runs or fewer in his first 4 starts combined. Craziness. He doesn't allow runners to score. 2 other Dodgers, by the way, are on that list of 9 pitchers. One of them is Kenta Maeda, but the other one is Fernando Valenzuela. And I'm telling you something, I am old enough to remember Fernando Mania. So this resonates with me. People across Los Angeles could not wait for the next time Fernando Valenzuela took the mound back in 1981. Now, I do realize that a big part of that was because it was a chance for a lot of Latinos, particularly those from Mexico, to have their own superstar in MLB. So I do recognize that part of it. But when you see greatness like this from Fernando, from Kenta Maeda, and now from Bobby Miller, we in Dodgerland might have something special there. Miller's ERA is now down to 0.78. He is working on a 16-inning scoreless streak. And by the way, the teams he's facing, they're not scrubs. He faced the Yankees. Loaded lineup. Atlanta, he faced them. Atlanta is second in the National League in runs scored. Not a chump lineup. Philadelphia played bully ball all the way to the World Series last year. The Dodgers shut them out last night. So how can we not be overly excited? Is it fair to just get on the hype train right now? Honestly, it might be. Get behind Bobby Miller. Now, there's another Miller in the Dodgers system, a guy named Shelby. He's a right-handed reliever. He was placed on bereavement leave on Saturday. Andre Jackson has been recalled from AAA Oklahoma City as a result. The Rams' offensive line. Crazy. We're going to talk about that and Cam Akers. You see, because sometimes it's risky to crunch numbers, and football very much is a numbers-driven league. You see stats just flying all over the place whenever you watch an NFL broadcast. Rams fans have been hoping to see more out of running back Cam Akers for a while. They definitely did last year because Cam Akers fought so hard to get back on the field after blasting out his Achilles. And so they're thinking if somebody has this much desire, clearly he's going to blow up in 2022. Didn't happen. He posted for the first part of his career worst numbers. But in the final 7 games of last year, he averaged 4.9 yards per carry. 4.9 with 6 TDs. What if going into this year, what if that's not exactly his average? What if he's just a little bit less? How hard would it be for him to get 1,000 yards? How hard? Well, if he hovered around his career average of 4.2 yards a carry, he would only need 14 carries per game to get 1,000 yards. That's not exactly a workhorse schedule for the guy. So there is that possibility. There are 2 projections, however, before we already anoint him as the comeback player of the year in the NFC. There are 2 projections already about what Akers can do. DraftKings, which of course is a bit of a gambling site, they set his over-under at 800.5 yards for this year. Meanwhile, there's the ESPN, they've got their own numbers crunchers. They think Akers will get 881 yards. Now, how can we be so optimistic about Cam Akers? It's a big guess, wouldn't you say? Especially when you consider just how unreliable the Rams' offensive line was last year. They crunched the consistency of the Rams' offensive line during the time of Sean McVay's career. The Rams' offensive line, in terms of stability, in other words, the same 5 starters, was always in the top 5 or 6 until last year. And then all of a sudden, they were the least reliable offensive line because of the injuries. They would go from first or second. Last year, they were already down to 32. They were the worst. There was no stability whatsoever. So you're looking at the Rams and how they've changed their offensive line for this year. Is it going to be better? Now, we don't know yet. They haven't played a game. Their offensive line coach has just 4 years of coaching experience. Just 4. Now, he played for 9 years before he retired and got into coaching, before Buffalo gave him a job. Buffalo kind of has a functioning offensive line. But when you look at what Buffalo does on its offensive line, does that argue for what the Rams are about to do on the offensive line? And further, what does that mean for Cam Akers? What we know about Buffalo is that they don't do zone blocking like the Rams used to do. They muscle up. They get physical. They do power blocking schemes. So let's guess. We take the Buffalo coach, right? Then scribes who cover the Rams have noticed that the Rams' offensive line is actually bigger than it's ever been under Sean McVay. Are we noticing a sea change with the LA Rams offensive line? That instead of playing zone blocking and hoping Cam Akers can figure out which hole to dart in, if the Rams are just going to say, you know what, we're going to punch you in the mouth and give Cam Akers a definitive hole to run through. If that's the case, Does that further help the running game, which takes time off the clock and alleviates the strain on what will clearly be a very young, very inexperienced, and probably not that reliable defense? Again, I could also be guilty of drinking opium. Let me know what you think in the comments thread. Austin Reaves' brother Spencer said, no, Austin's not dating Taylor Swift. There were rumors about that over the last week, and I think we kind of have to admit reality, right? When it comes to the idea of a Taylor Swift and Austin Reaves coupling, let's admit reality. You love Austin Reaves. I love Austin Reaves. We all love Austin Reaves. There's just no way Taylor Swift is dating somebody with a haircut like that. That's just not happening, guys. Let's be real, okay? Taylor Swift is not going from male models down to a guy from Arkansas with a bowl haircut. We all love Austin Reaves. It's just not happening. I mean, when I think about the idea when those stories first broke of Taylor Swift and Austin Reaves last week, the story kind of reminds me of my wife and I, you know? People, they meet us, they look at her, they look at me, and they ask the same question. How? How did it happen? What the hell happened? How did she actually acquiesce to hooking up with a troglodyte like this guy over here? And it's a fair question. It's a truly fair question. Then they start going to guesswork because my wife's just going to say she loves me or something like that. So they just try to fill in the blanks. Maybe my wife has a fetish for ugly men, right? There's that possibility. Maybe they even look at me and they don't even look at me as a human being. Maybe they think it's just interspecies erotica. Who knows? All I'm saying is, aside from the fact that I love my wife, is Austin, may I call you Austin? You're about to make more than $50 million a year at a minimum. Get yourself a better haircut. You can now afford better than Fantastic Sam's. Say it out of respect and caring. Rui Hachimura, you remember him? Yeah. The dude went from basically just another guy off the bench who was getting his last name clowned on Inside the NBA to a very valuable contributor for the Lakers during their postseason run. And now he's a restricted free agent. So, what is the possibility of him coming back? For that matter, does he even want to come back? So he did speak up about it. Quote, I don't know my future, but I just want to be somewhere I can be happy. The Lakers have been good, and we're going to see. So again, not completely committal, but he's damn sure not looking for the next train out of town either. It's probably just going to be a numbers game to see what other people offer him and if the Lakers will match. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about the greatness of this young pitcher, Bobby Miller. Talk to me about what you think the Rams can do this year to unleash Cam Akers. And if you enjoyed talking LA sports with me, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back later today with a Galaxy Rapid Recap. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.